Hi, my name is Carolyn Calanteri, and I work at the University of Virginia. Today, I will discuss a few things that you can do to distinguish yourself in an interview. First, I'm going to talk through the STAR stories. This is a technique you can use to think through a few key examples that illustrate why an employer should hire you for a particular role. We will also discuss a few strategies for asking questions of your interviewer and post-interview etiquette. The STAR Stories technique encourages you to think through how your past experiences have prepared you for the position that is the subject of this particular interview. Rather than tell an employer that you're prepared to handle a new task or responsibility, you can show them through your STAR stories that you're up to the task. To begin, you may want to brainstorm 5 to 10 past experiences at work that you might consider sharing in the context of an interview. Think broadly and don't overthink it for now. Just jot them down on a piece of paper. These are your possible situations. Once that's done, think about the particular job that you'll be interviewing for. Analyze the job description and consider the types of problems that the selected candidate will be asked to solve. Let's start with the situation. So going back through your situation list, identify 3 past situations that best highlight one of your skills or experiences that your interviewer may be interested in. This is a critical step in the process. Candidates who take the time to select the situations that best highlight why they are the best candidate for this job interview much better and typically get better results. Using the STAR Stories worksheet included in these materials, your next step is to build out 3 key STAR stories that illustrate why you are the best candidate for your position of interest. As you frame each situation, you may find it helpful to consider a few questions. Did the situation present a technical challenge or a resource challenge? Or does it illustrate a time when a creative approach to problem solving was warranted? Consider in advance the level of detail you will need to provide to set up the story in a way that demonstrates the need for a solution. You will need to exercise good judgment here with respect to the level of detail you provide. Be sure to avoid telling the story in such a way that disparages a former employer, supervisor, or colleague. Rather, you're describing a problem that begged for a solution, where you were able to step in as problem solver or facilitator. With these situations selected, you are ready to move on to the task. What steps did you need to take to work through the situation? Did you need to identify best practices, engage experts, collaborate with an interdisciplinary team? These are skills that translate well to a variety of different roles. Action. Next, describe the strategy or solution you used to address the problem. This is the chance to highlight how a particular skill or experience that you possess can help solve problems, the kind the employer is facing right now. Result. How did this turn out? Typically, a story that ends with a positive outcome is best. However, each STAR story is likely to include some lessons learned. STAR stories are far more memorable than yet another resume walkthrough. They help demonstrate your connectivity and interest in this particular job and will help the interviewer to envision you in their role. Your interviewer really isn't looking for a summary of your career progression from beginning to end. They want to know if you have what it takes to do their job and do it well. In addition to having some STAR stories at the ready, you'll want to have some questions available to ask the interviewer. While there are some standard questions you may want to ask, this is also a chance to reinforce your interest in the role and why the employer should select you for this particular position. When determining questions to ask, make sure they're relevant to the employer's problem. You can demonstrate a deep interest in a job by asking questions specific to the role. For instance, instead of asking when the employer plans to conclude the interview process, you could ask something like this. I read that your company has just secured another round of venture capital funding. How does this impact your time frame for filling this position? This leaves the interviewer with a positive last impression that you've read about the company, have anticipated that they might need to fill the role quickly, and that you're eager to roll up your sleeves and to get started. Finally, no interview process is complete without thanking your interviewers. Although handwritten notes are thoughtful, many hiring processes move too quickly for regular mail. We suggest that you send individual emails to each of the people who interviewed you. The thank you is also a valuable moment to distinguish yourself by referencing a point of connection from the interview. For instance, you might say, I enjoyed learning more about your plans to grow the department to include a creative team. I would bring to this role significant past experience supervising a creative team, including several technical writers, and I anticipate that this experience would allow me to engage the staff effectively from the outset. This module includes a handout that you can use to organize 3-star stories for your interview. While some of your stories may remain the same from interview to interview, how you tell the stories may differ. Save your preparation materials to your career services folder so that you may refer back to them over time.